let's talk about storage. I recently got a selection of storage. The only reason I bought all this, I just want to make this very clear from the off, is it was a large DIY store that were actually closing down. Okay, so, and I knew that I was going to be filming this and I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. What I'm not saying to you is to rush out and get loads of storage. That is not what I'm telling you to do. I just wanted to kind of cover off with people what is available, really. You can use anything for storage. It could just be something as simple as a cardboard box, an old margarine tub. When you know where you want everything to go, that is the time for you to invest in your storage. Prior to that, I would say to you, don't waste your money, because otherwise you're going to be buying a load of stuff that isn't necessarily going to fit or work for your space that you have. I go to so many people's houses and they've got like loads of storage. They could almost open up their own storage shop, but what they haven't got is storage that works for the space that they have. So this is all really nice gear. This is all I designed, which was designed for the home edit. I really like these. The quality is great. You can sometimes pick up stuff like this in TK Maxx, or you can get it from a place called The Range. Obviously, if you're in America, Container Store is just absolutely incredible. This one works like this, and you take the lid off. And obviously I would peel this off, but I'm not going to. I just want to really talk about it. I also picked up these ones, which are lovely. They're just for like your makeup. So you put that into a drawer that way, and when you open up your drawer, all your products are sat along there, exactly like it is in the picture. Again, they're really, really beautiful. But on their own, if you think about it, when it goes into a drawer, it's very low level. It's not using the vertical space that you might have in a drawer or in a cupboard. Say you put it on a shelf and your shelf is that tall. What are you going to do with all this other space? Yes, it might look cute. So not really sure how useful I would personally find this. Nonetheless, it's a nice thing for a shallow drawer. I bought this, which I thought was quite nice. Sorry, I'm just trying to navigate past my dog who's decided to come and stay with me. This is for batteries. So this is specifically made for all the different size batteries, but you could totally use it for another use. Like you could put makeup in it, or maybe some medication, something like that. I quite like the idea of the lid, but then again, if you're putting that into a drawer, that may not be practical to lift that lid when it's in the drawer, if you get my drift. I bought this because this is a type of container that I would say to you avoid, and the only reason is that this bit sticks out. Have you ever bought a container, popped it inside of a cupboard or into a drawer, and then this one tiny little bit that's poking out stops the drawer closing, or you can't shut the cupboard door? It's absolutely infuriating. So do aim for things that have really nice clean sides and just give you that kind of shape versus that kind of shape. And if you've bought storage and it's not worked for you, that's exactly the reason why. These I'm just a bit in love with at the moment. These ones are made by Habitat. You can buy these at every Sainsbury's. Habitat is now in at Sainsbury's, and they're absolutely fantastic. And these are the ones that I use for my own pantry drawer. I've bought them all myself. What I love about them is it just snaps shut. I store mine that way, but you can also put them into a cupboard this way. What I love about them is the clean sides. I think they are straight up and down, although that end could potentially be a little bit narrower. But for the whole and for the most part, they're great. They come in all different sizes. They do one that finishes here, and they also do one that extends out to here, and they do one that's about this long and kind of all stacks. It's all interchangeable. They all stack together, and they're just brilliant. They really, really work well. And I've probably got about 15 of these. I just love them so much. Another storage container I would not buy because of this. Unless you have a very specific space for this, I would avoid this. Again, it's got that thing that sticks out, which means that your cupboard's not going to shut. It means that it's not going to fit in properly. This one's actually designed as a fridge and pantry bin. This, I know from experience, will discolour. So if you've got any oil on your hand, if it goes up against anything else, this will yellow, it will go brown eventually. And for me, if I'm going to invest in storage, I want it to last me for a good number of years. And by that I mean sort of 10 years plus. Whereas I know that within 1 or 2 years, this is going to go a bit ooky. Last thing actually is the iDesign, again, designed for the home edit, which is a carousel. These can work really, really well depending on the cupboard. But if you have a cupboard that is that square and you put that in it, you've got all the edges that basically are not going to have anything in. So if you're short on space, this isn't going to be the right thing for you. Where I think these work really well is if you're lucky enough to have a cupboard the right size, you put that in and it's like, voila, wow, that really works. You put your sauces, packet mixes, whatever it is that you're using, and I'm at the front of the cupboard and I can turn it round and I can take out what I want. In those circumstances, it works really well. Also, it would work really well for toiletries. Again, if you've got a hard to reach cupboard and you need somewhere that you need to put your arm in, again, it would spin. But it's almost a little bit too big for toiletries and also for makeup, because it's kind of, things are going to fall over and you're not going to be able to find them. They're not going to be perhaps as accessible as you think, but they work well in the right place. We're not all lucky enough to have kitchens that are perfectly made for different spaces. If you have got a bespoke made kitchen, the chances are you're not going to need any storage like this because you've had the kitchen made for the products that you buy. And I know that can change a little bit over the years, but nonetheless, a well-designed kitchen will work beautifully without having to buy additional stuff like this to make it work even better, I guess, because that's what they're selling, right? So that's that. So don't waste your money on expensive storage. If you do want to have the storage and you really want that whole pantry look at the products that you're buying. Make sure that everything that you're buying is like, so your staple products, that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck in terms of the visual pleasure that it's going to give you. So things like your rice, your pastas, maybe if you cook a lot with pulses, making sure all of those things are used in these kind of storage containers, and I think that's where it's going to work the best for you. Right, this is a photo storage, and these are designed for people who have paper photos, remember those? So I happen to have quite a lot of them from when my daughter was a little girl. These ones are the 6x4, and how I like to use these is I like to have my photographs stored and, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Filed. Stored and filed by human. So for instance, for my daughter, I have her right the way throughout the ages. I've got her from 0 to 1, and then I think I went from 1 to 5 or 4, something around there. Then I went from 5 to 8, then I went from 8 to 12, and then her teenage years, because I don't know why, but you kind of tend to take less photos then, and also kids don't want you to take their photos then, right? So, and then on and on it went. For my husband, I just put down David as a child. For myself, I just put Karen as a child or baby, whatever it was, and then you put them in here. What I like about them is this goes in there like that, and then that goes like that. So you could have one of these per family member, shut the lid on it. I would recommend that you buy yourself some of those silica gel sachets. Now, you might be lucky enough to have bought some shoes, and you see those little tiny packets inside. They're going to absorb any moisture. You can just get some of those and just throw them inside. They're really good storage. You can buy the ones that are about yay big. These are great. This is just one that I had left over, and I highly recommend them for people who have the old-fashioned paper photos. I hope that you enjoyed listening about storage today. If you did, please like and subscribe.